I think you need tools, you need the culture, and you need processes. But what's more important is the leadership training behind this.
You're listening to the How Manufacturers Improve podcast, hosted by me, Kirby Snee, with the Manufacturers Alliance. If you've ever wondered how some manufacturing leaders have become so successful, then you're in the right place. In each episode, we cover the successes and the lessons learned of industry leaders. Then I break it all down into actionable insights. This episode is all about why improvements slowly die and features Jeremiah Johnson, the global lean leader with Boston Scientific. Jeremiah, super excited to have you out to the podcast studio to have this conversation about sustainment for sure, but really about, why some improvements just slowly die.
Yes. Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here and to see you again. It's been a while.
So it has been a while. In fact, it's been more than a minute, so I'm glad we could just reconnect and spend some time together. I know you pretty well, but for everybody listening who doesn't know you as well as I do, would you bring them up to speed on your background?
Sure. Yep. So I'm not young anymore. So I've been doing lean and engineering and transformations for about 26 years. So recovering engineer, I like to say. But I've done engineering, lean, and transformation work in basically every type of business, from engineering operations facilities to HR to accounting to finance to I'm in a commercial role right now doing transformation work. And so I like to fix things. I'm kind of a repair person. So at home, I like to fix houses and cars. At work, I like to come in and if there's a problem, I'm excited to work on it. That's
awesome. Now, I know that in all of those circumstances that you just kind of laid out, or all those functional areas of a business, in order to really go through like a robust transformation, from a current state to whatever future state that you're mapping out with whatever team, you got to have a leader that will slow down long enough to be able to help support the vision and then support whatever resources that are required to complete that transformation. That's my first question for you. How do you get leaders to slow down long enough to do that?
Well, it's a challenge. And I think my personal journey in this too, when I was 22, got my engineering degree, got my first job, and I was in Six Sigma training, the new thing at the time, right? Six Sigma. And the control part to make is massive. And I had a black belt who was coaching me. And my project was energy efficiency. For a huge facility. And we're replacing inefficient motors with new motors. Not a great application of Six Sigma, but we were all learning how to apply the tools at the time. But the control part, he was just after me. How are we going to prevent this from ever going backwards? And as a 22-year-old engineer, I'm like, I want to fix this and I want to go. Why are we talking about this? And so we went through that and I learned the control part, but I didn't really understand it until 4 years later when I was in manufacturing. And I spent 3 days solving a problem that had already been solved. It was a manufacturing process where a component was not being inserted properly, like 2% of the time, not often. And me being the brilliant engineer, I was going to figure it out. And so I pulled a team together, did a Kaizen, and we dug in. And I had this brilliant solution. I went to implement it, and I got to the equipment, and I started finding sensors and things that aligned to my idea. And I found out that when the machine was designed 3 years before that, it had my brilliant idea already in there. But it fell down. And we had standard work, but we didn't have standard work for maintenance because I'm sure a sensor went bad. They just kept the line running, bypassed it, and then never went back. So for me, I think I didn't understand why this is so important. Yeah. And for leaders, I think we need to teach them on why this is so important. And if they understand it and their leader is asking them questions, that cascades.
Yeah. So you're not solving a problem that's already been solved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we see those loops of when you teach standard work, those loops of you solve the problem and you stop. And even in my role, I spend a lot of time doing strategy work. And we do that. We do have these brilliant ideas and everybody loves the front part of the job, right? Of just finding what's our new strategy, what's our new big thing. The back end always gets forgotten and we waste a lot of time. a lot of time.
One of the things you can do to make sure you don't waste a lot of time is, of course, find someone who has just a lot of tenacity that's always thinking about that versus someone who's like the visionary, right? Because they're always kind of thinking what's next and what's in the future. So just knowing team members, I think, well enough to kind of know where they fit, how they could fit a little bit better, and tell them, here's why you matter. Like, you own this part. Like, process ownership is really important. If you don't have someone that owns the process, like, it could all fall apart. I've volunteered and just been a part of Kaizen events where I'm like, that was a ton of fun. And then 6 months later, I'll see the team again, right? At an event or something. How's it going? And, well, let me tell you.
And I've done work outside. I've taken vacation days to do consulting, and I do nonprofit work too. And I help them with strategy. And I just did one few months ago, and they loved the session. We have a new strategy, SWAT, and the windmill, and all the other different things we can do. And 6 months later, nothing's really been done.
Yeah. So if they don't have that process owner, and they know that they need someone to really own the new process, what do you recommend, or what do you think they should do?
I think before you start, define that well. And so this is where you can make it standard work on how you launch a project, a Kaizen, whatever it is, in your project charter. Do you have the future owner? And is the owner involved? That's the other thing. If you want to sustain something, if I create something for you and if my brilliant idea and you're not involved and I throw it to you, like, now you have to sustain this, good luck. You're not bought in. Right. It wasn't your idea. It might not be a great idea because you're the owner and you weren't involved. So making sure they're involved is so critical and documented. Yeah.
I've heard it said NMH syndrome, like not made here syndrome, like not made here, not my thing. It's, somebody else can fix that or sustain that or keep it going. Mm-hmm. When you do have standard work locked in, I think it's really helpful. But how do you make sure that you have standard work locked in the process? So, it's like clearly defined and it's proven, it's documented. How do you go from not having standard work to having standard work when you're making change? Hey, real quick, before we get into the answer to this next question, if you're interested in continuous improvement topics like this, and you want your team to be able to improve like what you're listening to today and learn from your peers, check out our CI community group. Don't miss out. Click the link in the show notes. It's specifically for CI leaders in manufacturing that are always looking for a better way. If that's you, join us. All right, let's get back into it.
It really depends. And so I've spent the last 10 years outside of operations. I still get pulled in, but largely in marketing. How do you sustain? I mean, they don't have standard work.
Yeah.
And we have processes. And so try and instill that culture. And marketing is a very creative bunch. And they're like idealistic, like you mentioned, the next big idea, and they're big thinkers, but to be organized, and not everybody's that way. So I don't want to be careful with biases. I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm not dorky, but right. So you have to be careful there. But I think as a whole, they're creative and they're running and they have these new ideas. To make them stop and document things is painful for them. And so how do we help them and make it easier to do that? Mm-hmm. I think about even AI. I've been using AI to look at what's happened in the past, and we can sort through all the files. You can go through, because I think previous leaders I've worked for 20 years ago were really good about documentation on everything. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And AI will help us, instead of having this huge documentation system with file paths and structure, you can sort and find things very quickly. And so making that part of your process too helps.
Let's hang out there a little bit. We'll talk more about AI. What are some other just like use cases, scenarios where you're using it to help lock in standards, write procedures, or as part of maybe the problem solving process? What are you seeing? What are you using?
Yeah. So I think back to Six Sigma when we started learning that and deploying that, and some of the failures we had. A company I started with, Six Sigma was the improvement tool, not Lean. And Six Sigma is a powerful tool, but it's a tool in the toolbox. And so how do you apply that tool? And it was applied to everything, which wasn't the right way. Lean can be applied to a higher percentage of projects, but it's not the only tool as well. And I think we kind of learned through these things. And so what can we learn from the .com bubble, right? Like, we have a website, but did you make any revenue? You had clicks. With AI, it's a thing, and it's going to be a thing forever, and it's transformative. But how do we use it today, and how do we use it in the future? We're still learning. But in my mind is, how can we use it to optimize waste? So with lean, we don't use it. You don't go after the fun things. You start with the horrible things that no one likes doing. And with AI, that's what I'm trying to focus on is the creativity, the design. Like AI is not always great at that. It can give you ideas, but it can't do it for you.
Right.
But how can we optimize the waste?
Right.
So we have the fun zone, I call it. Go in the fun zone where you're learning, you're growing, you're teaching, you're developing people. I listened to your podcast this morning about giving people feedback.
Yeah.
You have time for the people when you're not PowerPoints. We do a lot of PowerPoints, optimizing that. I can't do it for you yet.
Yeah, not yet.
It gets better every day, but how can we have it start a PowerPoint for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. It's great for, I think if you're stuck, get you unstuck. You know, in some of our workshops where we're doing RCA, root cause analysis, teaching 5Y fishbone and all the other tools, sometimes some of the, not that I'm trying to throw anybody under the rug, but sometimes engineers will get kind of stuck and they're like, well, I don't know. I'm supposed to brainstorm and have this category called the method. Maybe the method's wrong. But they're like, but I don't know. So then we'll just do a prompt and say, well, hey, this is the process and here's the problem statement. What could be causing it to fail? Which is essentially a similar question as what we've just asked them. And then all of a sudden AI was like, well, where do you work? Oh, I work here. What do you make? Oh, I make this. Well, here are some ideas, and you can get like 10 ideas. And then you go, okay, it's not all 10, but that one, that's the one. And it's a good thought starter.
It's a great thought starter. And here's a kind of non-work example. I'm into old audio equipment. I have old Macintosh preamp and it had a little noise in the left channel, like a 60 hertz. This is engineering dork come out, right? But a 60 hertz noise in the left channel. And I couldn't find it. And I used it. I said, hey, where should I start? And it said, take a picture of the motherboard for me. And I'll highlight the transistors I think are noisy. And here, check this capacitor.
Yeah.
And it was actually wrong, but it gave me ideas and it's a thought partner. And I think as we move along, it's going to be more accurate as we go. But today it's someone to bounce ideas off of, like a brilliant intern. Not a lot of experience, but brilliant.
Yeah. I just love the fact that you're into old audio equipment. Did I ever tell you I spent 2 years getting my audio engineering degree?
I do remember that now.
Tech.
Yes.
Like I was going to ask you about where the noise floor was on your equipment to see if we could get that noise floor even lower.
I had to hire it done because I couldn't figure it out. And anyway,
That's awesome though.
Yeah, super fun.
Okay, so I mean, just teasing this out here, like the other thing to be able to help make sure that improvements don't slowly die is to do some audits. Audits are obviously a known thing and they are really important. What are you seeing out there with audits and how to make them effective with sustainment? Yeah.
And so I think in operations, this is much easier to do. They have tiered management. They're already doing some of these things. In the office-based environment that I currently live in, it is more challenging. Especially when people haven't come from that culture. Yeah. And when I hire people to do business transformations and do work for me, I like to hire operations people because they kind of get it. Yeah. And you can teach them the business side. I can teach them marketing. I can't teach them years of operations experience and the why. Yep. But I think about workouts. So the people that are more dedicated to workouts, you do it first thing in the morning and you prioritize it. If you don't do it at 6 a.m. before work, you might do it at night, but if something pops up and something always does, your chance of success are much lower. And so you have to prioritize it and start early in the day. At 7 a.m. when we get there, we're going to do this first. That's what you do. That's how, do the audit, hit the ground running. Yep. Tell me a little bit more about, how do you get around maybe in the audit problem where you get different people doing the same audit with different results? Have you cracked the code there? Oh, yes. Actually, the biggest example I used to use in a class I used to teach for Manufacturers Alliance was a 5S example. And we do 5S assessments across the different sites. We'd take turns doing them. And so when Lucy would do it, everybody got a 1. And when someone else everybody got a 5. And then everybody was mad at Lucy because they scored her lower, and so they'd fire back. And so how do you make it fair and accurate and efficient? Yeah. Because we were spending a lot of money on those audits, and the results weren't great. And so I think you have to be careful on, if you want that audit to stick, it has to be kind of fun, fair, and efficient. Because it's a big investment and you want that investment to pay off and people to believe in it. And so one thing I did is I had a cross-functional group do it together. We did it one Friday a month and we did all of them together with a group. And then I always bought lunch. Nice. just to get them, hey, some motivation. This is kind of hard doing assessments for 4 hours on a Friday. I'll take you out to lunch.
Yep. I only managed the auditors that would do audits for a couple of years, but I used to always kind of test the test because I don't want like a false positive. And I want to drive consistency regardless. And so I would actually insert a mole into the audit. And I would tell someone, I'd say, okay, like the audit's coming around, I'm not going to tell you exactly when, but it's coming tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so don't do this thing. Don't do it. Like, you're going to be audited on that. Don't do it. I know you're safe. Yes. It's fine. Don't do it. Let's see if the audit picks it up.
Yeah.
And so if the auditor wouldn't pick it up, then it'd be like, okay, we know our process needs to be adjusted. Mm-hmm. Every audit should pick that up. And so then we'd go look at the process. And so, hey guys, what can we do to make sure that this gets picked up every time? Not trying to throw anybody under the bus. It was all about the process.
And also in that audit, if something is not right, ask why. And don't say, hey, you didn't do this right. Say, hey, tell me why you did it this way. And they might have a fantastic idea. Or hey, this machine's broken, or this happened, whatever it might be. Yep. But if you want to improve standard work, that's a great question. And the right culture, of course. Yep. But hey, why do you do this? Well, because this is actually more efficient. Well, let's not just change the standard work. Yep. Let's test that and give them space to test it and kind of coach them. Hey, we shouldn't just be changing things. This is the standard, best known process. Yep. But let's try your idea and see if it works.
So have you done, and to what extent have you done layered process audits where they kind of link together with different tiers of individuals in an organization, where you've got one person checking another person's standard work?
In operations, I mean, I'm currently a medical device manufacturer. Yep. We do a ton of that. Yeah. In the office, we don't do a ton of that. It's not mature yet. We do like financial checks, and there's tiered management there, I think, and checks. But
you think is there a need? Yeah. Is there even a need? Do you foresee it?
There is, I think, how to create that culture. And so my current role is I had to create a marketing team and sales ops team from scratch. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of fixing the roof right now with the leaky stuff coming through. Yeah. And we're going to start building the walls, and that's where we need to go. Yeah. We're just trying to start that culture right now. So
you got pillars in the Parthenon that you're working towards?
Exactly.
Can we talk about it? Sure. Like how some of the existing pillars that, maybe some parts of the organization are very accustomed to, and how that applies to marketing?
Yeah, so I guess my current role is a global role, and it's fixing one aspect of the business or accelerating that aspect that was as a part of the business. It wasn't part of the business 20 years ago, and it became a much greater share. And they said, hey, this is becoming actually a bigger business model. Can you create something? Yeah. And so it's really harnessing the power globally of all the people and all the different divisions to come up with a strategy and a governance. So there we have some tiered management where I have a steerco that sets true north and direction. That's divisional presidents, basically, and global leaders and myself facilitating it, setting the true north for this business initiative. And then we have different functions underneath there that are focused on different topics. So data analytics, COP, marketing, COP, community practice, which I'm sure
I was going to ask for you to tell. Yeah, thank you.
So we have a center of excellence, sharing best practices and working teams that are doing improvements globally. But then we have these COPs that are sharing best practices, communities of practice on marketing, data analytics, you name it, just to share that, because I'm in a big organization across the world, and how do you connect everybody?
Okay, so then I've got two follow-up questions for you.
Shoot.
From a marketing standpoint, because you've mentioned that a couple of times, what's the big transformation that you're working on right now?
Well, when I say marketing, it's really marketing, sales ops, and revenue focus. So it's much broader than marketing. Probably 30% of my current role is marketing globally for this initiative, but it's really transformation. And so I have a marketing certificate and an MBA, but I'm not a marketing expert. I was brought in this role to transform it and build something.
Nice.
So I say marketing, but it's really a transformation program.
Cool. So then my other question was, we've got a lot of people in our community groups. We've got a CI community group specifically that there's been growth. We popped up another one, and like 25 kind of engineering managers kind of level position. And some of them have that second, third, or on occasion, fourth site. And they're asking each other about how to make sure that everyone is on the same page at the different sites. And so they're thinking, we've got these initiatives, we've made some improvements, we want to sustain them from a multi-site perspective. Any thoughts for them that are listening to this?
Yeah,
it's harder.
It really depends, and it depends on how big that site is and what resources they have. And so one thing I run into is like Canada has less resources than the US does because revenue is for this particular thing is very small. EMEA is smaller, APAC is smaller, and so they don't have the same resource structure. So how do we partner, share our best practices and share the work we've done, but knowing that those sites are different than us? And so it's standardizing what you can, but giving them flexibility because it could be different in understanding them and understanding their resources.
Like I heard this one guy say that was really smart. Think globally, act locally. And I was like, where did that come from? That sounds really smart.
Yes.
Have you heard that saying?
Yes.
It's like a saying.
Yeah, we use it all the time because selling to Japan is different than the US versus Canada versus there's different laws, rules, restrictions, headwinds. It's all different. So what can we standardize and work on together? What is different and how we adapt what we do? Because they don't have the same funding or the same resources we do.
Yeah. Any examples of how that's touched down for you throughout your career?
Well, this example I'm currently on, revenue's up 56% in 2 years.
Okay.
So it's worked. And I think there's a lot of low-lying fruit. But coming in, understanding what the work was in each region and division, gain that alignment and partnering in the culture shift because we have to get the divisions to prioritize this and they're not used to it. So train them on the why and then make it easy to do the right thing, commission the right thing because they're coin operated sales reps. And so how do we make it easy to do the right thing?
Yeah.
And that understanding.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Anything that blocks them, what can you do to identify that blocker and eliminate it? Because then that practice will be sustained.
And getting leadership down. If the leaders are talking about, and you can create videos like this for leaders talking about this topic really helps. If they see their leader talking about it versus Jeremiah, like, well, who's Jeremiah? What are you doing? I mean, there's 70,000 people in this company. Who's Jeremiah? But if they see the CEO or a division president talking about it, it's different.
It goes both ways, which is why I'm super grateful that you're here because I've had the CEO tell me, I've been telling him this for, the last 3 years. And then your guy comes in and says the same thing. And finally it clicks.
Well, that's the thing too. We hire consultants
it goes both ways.
I've seen different companies I've worked with have hired people just to tell them what they try to tell them, they won't listen.
Isn't that funny how that works? It's funny to me. It's not funny if you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's part of change management. Even other senior leaders, how do you convince them? Well, if there's a consultancy name on it, oh, this is from them. They're really smart. It must be true. Or another company's doing that. Then we should do it too.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So a couple more questions before I let you go. The next one's kind of a dirty laundry question.
Okay.
What have you done regarding sustainment that just hasn't worked?
I think as a leader, we all fall down sometimes. And here's a recent example. And so I was trying to standardize our annual operating plan process. And it's always painful because we have to work with every division, every region to put a plan together. So it's a ton of work. It buries my team. We try to make some improvements. And at the end, I said, okay, I want to standardize this and lock it down. Okay, here's the deck we use. Here's what we present. Here's who's responsible for each part of the deck. What other improvements we want to make. And it's been 2 months and I don't have it yet. And my team has run with the new stuff. And so I think I was thinking about it a few days ago. I just need a hard deadline. By Friday, you're delivering this. Because I said, hey, I know you're busy. Please get this done. Put a date on it.
Yeah.
I will have it by Friday.
That's really good. Yeah. And then if they miss the deadline, there's almost like even more emotional attachment to getting it done because they know they missed the deadline. Yeah.
And I think explain the why as well. And I try to do that, but did I explain it well enough? Because they didn't prioritize it. Because I let my teams kind of self-prioritize to an extent. But this hasn't gotten done. And I wish it would have had done 2 weeks after because it's still fresh in our minds and we can document it better. Now we're 3 months. And
what do you do when, I'm sure you've had this happen a lot throughout your career, but you're meeting with someone, it's the deadline for the deliverable, and you're expecting that's the only thing you talk about. It's like the reason for this 15-minute meeting or whatever. And they start just going off on a tangent. And you're like, but this is what we're supposed to be talking about. Like, how do you drive the accountability, not just to like shame them, but so that there's real responsibility there?
If there's a group of people there and someone's presenting, I don't provide a lot of feedback in the meeting.
Yeah.
I'll say, hey, we're obviously not ready. We're going to reschedule this.
Yeah.
But then I'll pull them aside and say, expectations, if you're not going to be ready, you need to tell me weeks beforehand, and you need to tell me, and we can try to solve it. Because 80% of the time, we can figure it out. 20%, if you're waiting for something else, or if it's parts, if it's some information from somebody, it happens sometimes.
Yep.
As a leader, I might be able to push and help you get that information so we don't run into that wall.
Yeah.
But as a project manager or whoever that is, an engineer, we can't just run into walls. My expectation is before the meeting, way before that happens, hey, I have a conflict. This happened. I need this. I'm not getting it. Okay, let's figure it out.
Yeah. I like everything you said. What's your top recommendation to ensure that improvements are sustained? People are going to be like, oh, I wonder what the one thing is I should take away from this podcast. What is it?
Well, there's 3 things that underlie it, but I'll give you one main one. So the 3, when to use what, they loved it. But the common theme was, how do I train my leader to do this? How do I train them to think this is important and prioritize this? So I think that leadership training, I mean, I learned by just screwing up and like, well, here's a good example of why we should do the sustainment. Yeah. And it took me a few years, but if we train the why and have that cascade, it's going to be huge.
That does sound huge. That sounds absolutely huge. Because once you've got a critical mass of people that's led well, like nothing's going to stop them.
Exactly. And if the leader is asking them, hey, is this done? Like what I should have been doing a few months ago. I need this by Friday. And give them hard deadlines and not let them kind of self-adjust their schedule. Yeah. Deprioritize it. I'm going to prioritize it.
Love it. Thank you, Jeremiah. I appreciate you talking to me about why improvements sometimes just slowly die and then how to get around it.
Thank you. It was great talking to you again.
I'm Kirby Sneen with the Manufacturers Alliance, and this is the How Manufacturers Improve podcast. If you like learning these high-level best practices from experienced peers, and you want your team to be able to connect with people they can trust, see what's possible, and develop new lean and leadership skills when it works for them, go to mfrall.com or just click the link in the show notes. Thanks for listening.